Welcome, my name's Sam Henderson, Dixon. We are today going to be summarising and analysing Chapter 7 in Lee and True's book. This chapter is called Designing and Timing a Research Project. Just as a bit of a baseline here first, we're still not actually at the stage of actual research yet in this book. This chapter is very much about gaining credibility from the research design and creating a research design that builds credibility. The research design therefore needs to be both clear to both you and others so that others can find your conclusions credible. The analysis must be also substantiated so that the findings are the result of your research. The findings are the results of your findings are the result of your research and not your opinion. Credibility, again, is a key point that is mentioned through this entire chapter, and the building of the credibility, again, is important. The chapter focuses on the general design of the plan of a research project. There are a few different ways in which a research design can be categorised, i.e. the kind of data it relies on, whether it is quantitative or qualitative, the kind of analytical tool it anticipates, whether it's descriptive, interpretive, relational, statistical, the kind of method of data for collection and analysis that structures the inquiry, statistical, participatory, action research, grounded theory. The question of research design is more general than what I've just mentioned, and it also must be emphasised that the research question guides research design. Feminist approach to research design entails that one must be aware of the landscape of the methodological options and involves mapping out a research plan that is doable, which again links back to the credibility aspect of the chapter. Setting the plan to a schedule that is actually doable and achievable is also important in building credibility. Again, there is no such thing as the feminist research design, and the research design should be a creative moment in the research process. One heading in this book is Common Confusion, Unit of Analysis. It is important to understand and identify the units of analysis in which you are going to be undertaking in your research project. The example given in the book is a woman's activism example. 3 examples in this particular example are given. The first one being the study of women in anti-globalisation activism, which looked at actors in the World Social Forums and the European Social Forums. The second about women's activism environmental strategies in India, which looked at 3 organisations in 3 different locations. And the third, the kinds of arguments that transnational feminist networks are making, which utilised a multi-case study research project. This emphasised the point that there are different kinds of research methods that can be undertaken, ranging from participant observation to multi-case studies, which involve mixed methodologies, in which the population is determined by the research question. The mixed approach, it should be noted, is research and could be research and skill intensive, so that is something that needs to be taken into consideration when deciding on what type of methodology you are looking to employ. It is also important, it is also reinforced in the book that we do not look for gaps in the literature, but we look to make connections across literatures. And the purpose of feminist research is to change the world, not just to study it.
Cool. Now, I'm doing a single case study analysis, which is a particular type of design. A single case analysis is usually undertaken on a subject or a phenomenon that has been considerably underdeveloped or developed in only a very superficial way. A single case study focuses its analysis upon a particular event, like that in an organisation, a city, or a social movement. Like the one being discussed here today, discusses transnational formations of ideas. Typically, a single case may have many variables associated with that one subject. A single case study may study a particular subject or phenomenon very closely that does not happen very often due to those particular variables. What may distinguish a single case study are the particular variables that occur within that one subject. Hence, a single case study may engage many different theories to study a particular phenomenon, such that that phenomenon can only be explained through a multiplicity of theories rather than only one. A single case study may show how certain theoretical analyses insufficiently characterise the phenomenon in question. Similarly, by applying multiple theories to a single case study whose variables are unusual, it may show how theory can be improved for taking into account new variables. An example of a single case study is Sarah Van Hooser's analysis of women who had previously been involved in sexual work. Van Hooser attempted to understand the particular epistemology of the recovery community in which she studied, so that she could understand the particular circumstances in which they understands in the community. Hence, the subject she was attempting to study was particular in that regard. Conversely, it may be that a single case study with its emphasis on only one subject is a particularly good unit of analysis for placing it within a general framework or theoretical analysis. This is particularly true of Craig Berry's and Clive Cabey's analysis of Oxfam, whereby they describe Oxfam's uncritical commitment to liberal internationalism and globalisation in its pursuance of a global civil society, which is seen as a norm across the field. The methods of single case design are dependent on the number and type of variables in the study is looking at. Design of the project may revolve around particular data collection methods or broad and encompassing data collection methods like participant observation, text, media organisational, oral histories, etc. Single case design is also quite linked to ethnography because of its particular emphasis on ethnicity.
That leads me on to the next case, which is the comparative case model. Similar to what Peter said, the comparative case uses a range of design methods, and it's obviously quite broad. It may seek to expand the scope of inquiry, and it may allow the researcher to focus on a particular hypothesis about why something happens. This is explained using an example, the Fields of Protest example in the book, in the chapter, which compares women's movements in Bombay and Calcutta. The Roth's study in the chapter also gives an example of this, of a comparative case study where African Americans, whites and Chicana feminist movements in the US are compared and contrasted. Comparative methodologies are designed for research projects of already established phenomena. Some methods used in these examples range from participant observation, text, media, community network maps, and the methods include oral histories, interviews, surveys. A good example that I found from the chapter was Talley's face work, which conducted an analysis of facial disfigurement and explored many different case studies ranging from the TV program Extreme Makeover to Operation Smile.
The application of a feminist research ethic to our research methods is extremely important, as was gathered in the introduction. From a standpoint and critical realist perspective, knowledge is socially constructed, which is not to say that knowledge is relative, but it is shaped by particular local and historically specific circumstances. Hence, when we attempt to engage in a single case analysis, it is important to understand that the particular deliberative moment at which we engage in our analysis means that our analysis is an exertion of power, since power is enacted through the organisation of knowledge, and knowledge is constructed as a form of domination. In the analysis of Michael Foucault, for example, even our subjectivity is a social construction. Our values and our very sense of having a self are aspects of the way modern power and knowledge works. Hence, if we are to apply a feminist research ethic before we start our analysis, we need to analyse in what ways our knowledge is socially constructed. From this standpoint, then, we can analyse what types of knowledge are relevant for our purposes and what elements are not. In other words, only once we are aware of our bias can we then adequately attempt to circumvent those dynamics. Questions such as, will your research decision reinforce power dynamics or reveal them? Does the analysis follow a norm within the discipline, or is it a different norm which you're trying to dissociate? Are the variables of your analysis necessary for revealing the power dynamic you're looking for, or do you need different variables? Since your study will have implications for social reality, in what way are you constructing that reality, and are you constructing it in a way that you believe to be just? The feminist research ethic is premised on the assumptions made by social constructivists on the nature of knowledge, that ideas and situatedness of the individual lie prior to any particular argument, and bliss provides the pretext to any particular study. Epistemological assumptions provide the basis for any social scientific analysis. When choosing the variables that you are analysing in your study, whether you're making a single case study or a comparative case study, there must be clear reasons or analyses for which variables matter in context. Within a comparative case study, for example, if you have one variable that is important to your theoretical argument, then you need at least two cases with two different values that associate with that one variable, so that you're always focusing on that one variable, and that you're not ignoring other variables that are equally as important within your analysis. So it may mean that you change your approach to, say, a quantitative or a qualitative approach. How long do I have?
5 seconds.
Okay. In conclusion, our analysis is not brought about by an unmitigated or absolute understanding of the world, but is mediated through particular lenses, and as such, your design and time of your research project should show an awareness of that understanding.